have a next guest here today. We consider him a friend here at Eastern Hills Baptist Church. His name is David Gershuni. He is very active in the Jewish National Fund. He recently has been to Israel and is going to give us updates on the situation in Israel. I also want to say this. I couldn't help. David is a very committed Jewish man. And when he gets in situations like this, I can't help but think, what does he think? And I want to say this, David, some of us shout, and some of us sing, and some of us dance, and some of us may need to have our heads examined. But I'll say this, David, because we believe the Bible literally, we believe that God has made special promises to the Jewish people. And we believe that God will fulfill his covenantal promises with the Jewish people. Therefore, we firmly affirm that for Christians who believe the Bible literally for what it says, a true Christian must be a friend of Israel. There's no other option. So I thank you so much for coming today. I look forward to hearing what you have to share, and know that amongst Bible-believing Christians, you have friends. You, the Jewish people, and Israel as a nation will always have Bible-believing Christians with you, for you, and praying for the peace of Israel.
Thank you very, very much. Shabbat Shalom and Brochim Habayim. Welcome. I am so pleased that I was invited to come and speak before you today. And yes, I am a representative of Jewish National Fund. I'm a lay leader. I have worked regionally on many different committees, and I was fortunate enough to co-chair our national conference, which we had here in Cincinnati 3 years ago. And I'm proud to say it's been the largest national conference Jewish National Fund ever had. That got me engaged nationally in Jewish National Fund. And today I chair one of the newest committees to Jewish National Fund, and that is the Nefesh B'Nefesh Development Committee. And Nefesh B'Nefesh means soul to soul. And if you're going to make Aliyah to Israel, from the Americas, from England, from France, you go through Nefesh B'Nefesh. That's the new organization that's been around. I say new, but it's been around for about 10 years now. But the state of Israel now has mandated that if you want to go make Aliyah, this is the organization you make it through, because they take it as a business. But before I get into talking about Nefesh B'Nefesh and Israel, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a history of Jewish National Fund. Many of you have heard of the man Theodor Herzl. Theodor Herzl, back in 1897, after witnessing the Dreyfus Affair in France, where a lieutenant, Jewish lieutenant, was charged with crimes that he didn't commit. Herzl was so incensed by this, a newspaper guy, a secular guy, not a practicing Jew by any way, but he was so incensed and realized that there needs to be a Jewish homeland. And whether that homeland was to be in Africa, in South America, no matter where it was going to be, there had to be a Jewish homeland. Fortunately, there were enough Jews at the Basel Conference, the Zion for Zionist Conference, and up until the fifth one, that they said, no, the Jewish homeland needs to be in Israel, our homeland. And sure enough, they decided at the Fifth Zionist Congress that they had to start raising funds to start acquiring land in the state of Israel from the Ottoman Empire. Well, at that point, Jewish National Fund was founded back in 1901. And fortunately, they bought some land. Unfortunately, they didn't occupy the land. They go a few years later, they look and they say, we want to see our land. And sure enough, there's people on the land. They're like, oh, no, this is ours. Well, the governor of the Ottoman Empire said, sorry, you didn't read the fine print. That fine print said you had to occupy the land. So being creative people, we said, okay, fine. We understand now the nature of the game that you're going to play with us. So we acquired the land again and started planting trees on that land. Therefore, we occupied the land. And initially, Jewish National Fund was known as the Tree People. So from trees, we got into water. We started building water reservoirs. Well, today I'm proud to say the Jewish National Fund supplies 14% of the water to the state of Israel, which has also helped in peace, because this water that we provide helped to create the peace treaty with Jordan. And today, that watershed that comes off the mountains of Jordan and flows straight into Israel, well, Israel and the scientists from Israel and the scientists from Jordan calculate about how much water that is. And that water is sent back as potable water, clean drinking water, to the state of Jordan. And then when Jordan needs additional water, because their water system is so polluted, more water gets sent back to keep the peace. Because we do believe that we're responsible for our brother. So today, Jewish National Fund is into water. We are into community development. What's interesting in the state of Israel, community development is done a little different than it's done here. Say if you have a tract of land and you go to the municipality, oh, I want to build 1,500 homes. Municipalities are saying, go for it. Well, in the state of Israel, it's done a little differently. They say, okay, that's fine, but we got to put streets in and sewers in and electric lines in and water lines in and gas lines in. And after you've sold every lot, every tender, then we'll go ahead and we'll put all that infrastructure in. Well, year one goes by, maybe they sold 5 or 10. Year two, they're up to 100. Year three, maybe 300, 400. But out of those first 10 that bought, they want a house. So they're saying, hey, after a year, you guys had to build it. You couldn't do it. I got to go build a house someplace else. Therefore, it's really difficult to get new housing projects done. So what we've done at JNF is said, something, we're going to take the American model. That American model is to say we're going to go in, we're going to put the infrastructure in, we're going to let people start building houses. So we are working with the municipalities and we're saying, guess what, guys? We're going to build the infrastructure for you. Then we're going to turn it over to you. And there's all this infrastructure price we're going to reclaim when that house gets sold, just as it's done here in the United States. And it's working. Right now we are working on a 2,500 home development site in Carmit that we started off. The first thing that we put in was a synagogue. The center of all the sand. This is in the Negev. There was a synagogue standing. Unfortunately, I was there a couple years ago and got to witness the synagogue, all built. We didn't have any water lines to it yet, no electric lines to it yet, but we had the synagogue, which I found very fascinating, and then hearing why and how. And basically, if you build a synagogue, people will come. They'll come. Got a place to pray? People will come. And sure enough, we're now sold 150 tenders. There's electric, sewer, water into the site. We also work with those with cognitive and physical disabilities. And I'm very proud to say that there's a facility in Israel called Ali Negev. And a fella, Doron Amog, is a general, he's a retired general now, had a son who had severe cognitive disabilities. And Doron was concerned, as mom and dad get older, what's going to happen to their child? So with that in mind, he worked with scientists and doctors to create a one-of-a-kind facility that is now being modeled throughout the world, including the United States. People come to look at this facility. And it is so incredible to spend time there and to see these young adults thriving where they normally wouldn't be. It just overwhelms me. And fortunately enough, I had the opportunity to have a friend of mine here in Cincinnati who spends a lot of time riding horses. And I did some research, and Ali Negev needed a therapeutic riding center. And so I talked to my friend, and I said, Charlie, we really need this here. I said, you see the benefits of it. My friend has an issue, and he finds that writing clearly helps him physically and emotionally. So I talked with him, and last year, this past year actually, I'm proud to say that Charlie elected to create the Therapeutic Writing Center at Ali Negev. Not only to make sure that the facility was built and the writing, the trails were built, and that's pathways were put in for those that couldn't even get on a horse but could ride in a carriage were built. But he also wanted to make sure that there would be staff there. So part of his gift included a 5-year, 50,000 writing sessions. And I know that we had dinner with Charlie last night, actually. Pastor Allen and I did, and didn't mention that, but I'm so proud of what Charlie did. And fortunately, he'll be coming to Israel with me this coming summer. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Israel now. Yes, back in July and August, I was in Israel. Like Pastor Allen, I was there during Protective Edge. It was important for me to go there. And the first trip was there as a solidarity to show that we are there to support our brothers and sisters. Israel is my homeland. I was fortunate enough on my second trip, as part of my new position with Jewish National Fund, by being connected with Nefesh B'Nefesh, to be on the flight. It's a chartered flight. We had 365 individuals that left the United States as American citizens and landed in Israel with dual citizenship. It actually happens on board the plane. And out of those 365 people, we had babies. We also had a woman that was 94 years old. And her dream was always to live in the state of Israel. And she said, since I couldn't live in the state of Israel, I'll die there. I said, okay. You know, she was pretty realistic, and that's, you know, she was focused on that. What was more impressive to me was to be on board a flight with 110 young kids, and I call them kids because they're 18, 19, 20, 22, 23-year-old. That firm commitment was to join the IDF. And prior to the flight, I was having daily conversations with the people from Nefesh B'Nefesh because I was a little concerned. Protective Edge is going on. American kids that have become Israelis and lost their life. People that we knew. And I was concerned. Were some of these kids having second thoughts? None of them had second thoughts. They were being asked to push the paperwork through. So those that weren't selected to come on this flight could come on this flight and join the IDF. Their passion, their belief was so paramount in the need to serve their homeland, to serve their country. It was absolutely amazing. And to land in Israel with these young people that were just so absolutely awesome. On the flight, none of them could sleep. I couldn't sleep either, so I was in the back of the plane with them, hanging out, and just it was such a privilege, such an absolute privilege. Ooh, running short on time. Anyhow, what I want to share with you also is that, as Pastor Allen had mentioned. Yes. Well, because actually I was going to thank Pastor Hagee, because Hagee Ministries made an unbelievable, great financial commitment to Nefesh B'Nefesh recently. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. Because we build the state of Israel through human capital. And that's how we do it. But I want to rush forward a little bit and share with you that I landed in Israel, my committee, they went to the hotel to rest me. I got in a car with some people from the IDF, and I went south. It was important for me to go to Ali Negev, to Ovkim, to go to Sderot, because in Sderot, we built the first indoor playground that's a bomb shelter. And the reason we had to do that is because of that. That's a Qassam rocket that landed in Sderot, and I brought back in 2007. And it was amazing looking on to the destruction of Gaza and seeing how the Palestinian people thought that this is okay, we're going to keep doing it because Israel's going to bend. We're not going to bend. We have no intention of bending. It doesn't matter how many thousands of these we receive. I was fortunate enough also, my last night there, to have dinner with this young man. We had dinner with Olim, those that had made Aliyah to Israel. And this young man was the commander of the Iron Dome system in Ashkelon. And I believe Pastor Allen actually witnessed this as I did. I actually got to see the Iron Dome. And then to hear this young man talk about how he's got basically 15 seconds to make a decision whether to launch that missile or not launch that missile, and the process that he goes through. A 23-year-old young man making the choice on how he's going to save a life or lives. But I know my time is up, and if anybody has any questions.
I have one, sir. How did you get back in the United States?
Well, that's a long story. Very long story. But if anybody has any questions, please feel free to come up and ask me afterwards.